Hold up. My views are my own. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Lightning round. Dangerously close.
My guest today is Troy Skinner. Award-winning filmmaker Troy Skinner crafts a moving story about family love and new beginnings in the romantic dramedy feature A New Life. Skinner wrote, directed, edited, and produced the project under his Darkan Entertainment banner, which he formed in 2010. An independent film and media production company dedicated to creating high-quality film, television, and media content with a strong focus on redemptive and empowering themes, expressly related to the Black community. A Brooklyn native, Skinner first gained attention as a filmmaker for his award-winning dramatic short, Brotherly Love, followed by winning Octavia Spencer's Facebook short film competition with his short, A Second Thought. He went on to direct his first full-length feature film, Wingman Incorporated, teaming up with writer-producer Tony Germanario. And actually, it goes on here for a little bit, but I've looked at your IMDb, and guys, if you want to hear me read everything, all of Choice's accomplishments, it would end up taking up most of the podcast. So I'll stop here. But he has been in a ton of incredible movies and TV shows, and you've probably seen a lot of them. So if you want to go to his IMDb, feel free. What's up, Choice?
Well, thank you so much, man. You honor me. It's always funny to hear people read your bio. It's such an unnatural thing to because bios to me are very indicative of obituaries.
Oh my God.
You know, I've gotten older. As I've gotten older, Doug, that's how I'm seeing it. It's like, you start to list everything that you've accomplished and where you've been, what you've experienced. And so, I'm always honored. First off, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate that. But to always hear the bio be read off, it's like, man, I've done all of that. And, depending on the bio that was a couple of years old, it's like I've done more since then. So it's always funny to hear it.
All that and more. And not to sound morbid, but, that wouldn't be a bad obituary. So, but I absolutely believe you've got, just so much on the horizon. It looks like so much cool stuff coming up. This obituary is not done being written. Okay. I'll stop calling it that.
Well, yeah. I always say, like, let me add to that more. Let me keep adding to it. So thank you for that. That was awesome. I appreciate that. It's like I said, it's always an honor. Always an honor.
And speaking of which, I just kind of like poking around, doing a little bit of my investigative research, just trying to get to know some more about you. And I was finding all kinds of other interesting stuff, aside from your filmmaking career, which is kind of like I think what most people might know you from. But I read that you owned a martial arts school in Georgia. Is that correct?
Yeah. I owned and operated a school for about 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Before I moved out to Los Angeles. And a lot of those kids that trained under me and men and women became black belts, and they're living and leading productive lives. And I'm very proud of many of them. It's funny. I'm back out in Augusta at the moment to, take care of my mom and build up the film community out here. And a lot of those students re-linked up with me all these years later. They're 40 now. It's wild, man, just to see how that can impact and affect people.
Is Georgia like the first place you moved after? Because I know you're from Brooklyn. Is that the first place you left New York to go to?
Yes. My mom moved in 1986, and then I moved a year later in '87. Her whole objective, and big love to my mom, and always a shout out to her.
Yeah,
she raised 5 sons in the projects. I mean, we lived down the street from Mike Tyson, and
Oh
she
wow.
always find a way to make sure we were going to be okay. And so that was part of her agenda, which was, okay, I'm gonna move my sons out of the projects, and Augusta was the space. It was the place to go to.
It's kind of interesting that you would bring up Mike Tyson because I had kind of a silly question, and I feel like just as a little warm up, just to get to know you, just to have a little fun before we get into more like serious filmmaking type stuff. I wanted to say like a hypothetical. Just well, first I wanted to ask, what martial arts style or styles did you teach and practice?
Well, I still this is 39 years. It'll be 40 years for me in January coming up. I still teach. I still train. I I started in traditional Shotokan karate under Darren Jackson, and then I learned kickboxing and boxing and Wing Chun and Jiu-Jitsu and Aikido and ninjutsu, and I was just on a path of wanting to know everything that I
Yeah,
could learn. You
yeah,
know, I'm more structured now in what's called Bojuka under Tom Schrank, and it's a self-defense, it's a pure self-defense system. And you know, I'll dabble from time to time in the Jeet Kune Do aspects, Wing Chun and Kali Eskrima. So yeah, I did a lot.
Have you ever had the opportunity on film to get to do any kind of like martial arts acting?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When I moved to Los Angeles, I moved because I was in music and I was working for an R&B artist who shall remain unnamed.
Okay.
Out there, you can look it up and see. But um, he went bankrupt. That's why I don't want to talk about his name. But anyway, he
Okay.
went bankrupt, and so I had to transition. I had to find a way to live and to make it in Los Angeles. I moved out there. I didn't want to, you know, leave and not have anything from my time there. So I got into stunts and
Oh, cool. That's
yeah,
awesome.
The world-renowned Art Camacho. He's a fight coordinator, stunt coordinator, and director. He was my mentor, and he was the one that kind of told me that I needed to learn how to act. He actually just said, "Kid, you suck as an actor. You need to." And I said, "Okay, no problem." And I got into acting, but I I found myself doing a lot of martial arts
Yeah.
on projects. And the Hillenbrand brothers, they hired me. One of them was studying under me, David. So they would hire me for any time they had an action film or film where they needed martial arts. I was there to go to guy. So it was awesome.
Let's go into a hypothetical just for fun. Let's say hypothetically you were invited to a purely just for fun martial arts exposition match. No grudges, nobody's in there like angry. It's all like and all the proceeds go to your favorite charity, so it's for a good cause. So that
Mhm.
so you got a lot of good reasons to be there. But I'm gonna name some random people, and you say whether you think you could defeat them in martial arts combat. Does that sound
Okay.
fair? I guess like maybe just to like make it sound like just for full continuity or like understanding, let's just say it's 3 rounds of 5 minutes. So
Okay. Okay.
endurance is involved. Let's start off with Steven Seagal.
Oh, he's going down.
He's going down.
I'll just let him chase for all the
Oh my god, yeah. I I love watching the videos that you can find out there of Steven Seagal like doing Aikido that's just completely fake.
Listen, let me explain something to you. I grew up in the 80s mostly.
Yeah.
80s and the 90s was my eras pretty much. And I watched his movies, man. I went and saw his movies. I supported Steven Seagal's movies. They were
Oh
they were
yeah.
great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were martial art cats that I knew that were in it. So I enjoyed his movies. I can't speak for his they call it McDojo nowadays, but I speak for his training or anything. But there is when you're dealing with traditional martial arts. I'm not talking about self-defense. I'm not talking about MMA or anything.
Yeah.
There is a level in traditional martial arts where you still have to be able to breathe through your technique. So
Yeah.
physically, you got to have something going on.
Yeah, I will say this. I don't want to just completely be you know making fun of him, but because definitely like shout out Under Siege, Glimmer Man. Like he had some really great films
Oh, yeah.
in that era. But yeah, no, 100%. He's going down in the first round submission. All
Yeah.
right, next one. This is gonna be. I am really curious how you feel about how you do. You got 3 rounds, 5 minutes. Jackie Chan.
Oh, well, Jackie Chan has never really been a competitive fighter. He's
Yeah,
never really been. So, but I would love to just go hands to hands with him because I would love to see Pete fight traditionally out of the forms that he was trained in,
yeah,
because anytime you fight a guy, you find out, okay, yeah, their whole foundation falls apart. They're not fighting out of the traditional system. So I'm an old school guy. I love fighting out of the system. You said if we're doing Wing Chun, we're gonna go Wing Chun. So Jackie may get me if he stays within the system because he's more refined and older than me. I don't know. I may go down on that one.
okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Because I guess we didn't really put in this additional element that, like, let's say we're adding a rule, you can't fight outside of whatever system. So yeah, okay. And I just saw Jackie Chan's latest film, and he's still got it, man. He's still got the stunts. He's really he's a tough dude, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't know that I feel like maybe that's a toss up. That would be a good one to bet on, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But if I fought, I mean, because I did Wusu and some Shaolin, so if I fought within the system, he probably take me down a little bit on that one. We fought
Yeah,
within the system, definitely.
yeah. Or what's that drunken monk style that he's got?
Yeah, drunken monkey, any drunken style. He'll, you know, it actually would probably be a good thing for him too because he's older, so he can move slower and
Yeah.
break that.
All right. This next one, I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Chuck Norris.
Oh man, man, Chuck would go down. Now in his prime, that's a different story. But
Yeah.
had a double hip replacement, man. Come on, brother. Bring, he's at that age now where he doesn't have it more, man. But I watched him too coming up. He was one of my favorites.
I mean, yeah, and he also, like, studied under Bruce Lee. He's got a great background, but we're talking about 3 5-minute rounds. He doesn't have the endurance to go hand to hand with you for for probably 3 minutes. So
Yeah,
sorry, Chuck.
now somebody who to me still to this day and age in his 70s, that's impressive is Superfoot Bill Wallace. He still teaches seminars,
Yeah,
and yeah, man, he's phenomenal to watch at that age and still kicks head level. It's crazy.
yeah. I used to be able to do head kicks, and I've lost so much flexibility. It's actually one of my big projects coming up, like just in the near future, is trying to regain that kind of flexibility because there's no reason that I should be this stiff. It's just I've just gotten more sedentary.
Yeah, what
But
happened though. Yeah, family life. But I tell you what, just I always tell guys, order you a stretch machine. They have them. They're cheaper now than they used to be back in the day. The
yeah,
arcade crank ones. And just get on the carpet, man, and roll the ball back and forth to the dog, or play with the family, man, and you'll be back to full flexibility before you know it.
yeah, hell yeah. And in the meantime, I still got a pretty good leg kick. All right, let's
Yeah.
moving on. All right. This one, I'm also curious because it's been a while since I've seen him do anything. Michael Jai White.
I know Mike personally, so um, Michael is still training. He still does his thing and stuff. Um, for me, he's got to go. He's got to go. He's going down,
He's
brother.
going down. Okay. I figured he's got a lot of power, and he's flashy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he can go the distance.
Yeah, well, the thing is he loves. He trains a lot of these guys too, man. I mean, they pay him top dollar to come out and train and coach him. He is a man of the industry and a man of the arts. He loves it,
Yeah.
and people love him. I mean, when you think of a black martial artist, he's the first person that comes to mind. Um, you know, very decent, very grounded brother, man, and trains hard Even his wife trains with him. They train together. It's crazy. I used to watch them at the. Yeah, she trains with him. So, but it's at his age, man. He's still doing it. It's just incredible to watch to see these guys. But yeah, there's he's got multiple systems. I got multiple systems. More than likely, I'm in I'm in it quick because you're right. He does got a lot more mass on me. So, I've never been a person who is stuck on weight class. I believe that, whoever you are, man, bring it completely and show all that you got. Doesn't matter what the weight class is. That's why I grew up in an
Yeah.
environment. Weight class didn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, man. Even though he's going down, still shout out Michael Jai White because yeah, like you're saying, hardworking dude, and the camera loves him, man. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, last one, and then it's a curveball. This is I just just had to throw it in here just because I know this dude, recently received his black belt, and that's Jonah Hill. How's it gonna go with Jonah Hill?
Black belt in BJJ. I think it's BJJ.
Yeah, that's his. He had a black belt in BJJ.
Take him even in BJJ, and I only had 5 years of that of not Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but just traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu. I'd mop the floor with him, bro.
Oh man, sorry, Jonah, you're going down. First round, first minute.
Fight would be to see him and what's the guy from Facebook and
Are you talking about that fight between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk?
Okay, throw Jonah Hill in that fiasco.
Yes.
That stuff, man.
I would pay-per-view to see Jonah Hill beat the shit out of a billionaire. And like drop some good jokes in there too. All right, man.
If he beat the other two, definitely.
Thanks for playing my hypothetical fight round. I had to ask, man. Once I found out that you taught martial arts, I was like, let's talk about some classic fighters and where you think you stand. But
all of them, man. Love and big respect to all of them for paving the way for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But I was like, speaking of you teaching, and spreading knowledge, you were an acting coach for 12 years. And I assume that a lot of people came to you with a passion and a dream for acting. But what would you say is like the number one reason people give up on their dreams? And what kind of advice would you give to your students that were struggling?
Oh, great question. The advice would be to know that it's not going to happen on your time. It never happens on the time that you have plotted out. It's kind of like how when people are in high school and they plot out college and then work, a job, and then marriage and whatever, like how it was back in the day. It's not like that now. Nowadays, everyone's all over the place with their dreams and their desires. But, when I worked with people who came to Hollywood and having one of the top acting classes, what I saw was that there was a lot of misplaced discipline. Discipline is key in regards to anything that you want to accomplish. You have to focus, and then you have to have that discipline. And so most of them would come out to Hollywood. So you think about it, Hollywood contains everybody from all over the world, not just the States, from all over the world. So you're bringing your family dynamics, your social dynamics, your community dynamics to a place that's already established and will grind you up.
Yeah.
You don't fit in the scheme of things. You have to adapt to the scheme of things. There's nothing missing in Hollywood where you provide it. You see, so you would have to first off cultivate something in yourself and build in yourself a sense of understanding your true power. But if you're coming out there with doubt and you're coming out there, financial issues, looking for love, a lot of people are in the film industry and the entertainment industry, period, looking for love. They want validation. They want love. They want to be accepted. They want someone to see them. And of course, being in Hollywood and being in the film industry brings you that. But a lot of times that's not what people want. I've had actors who I've coached to B+ A level status and literally leave the industry. They were getting TV roles, offers, films, and just stop, just literally stop. Just happened just recently. Someone I found out who I coached for several years made it. If you know when you use that phrase, and just wasn't happy. So I
Yeah.
think part of that people have to know this is what they've always wanted to do. Not that somebody, hey, you're beautiful. Someone tells you you should be an actor, or maybe you should act. Oh, you got it in you to be an actor. Or my family always said, I was in front of the camera. Those aren't those aren't valid reasons to start acting.
Yeah. I like what you said, man, a minute ago. I think you said something like it doesn't happen on your time, or like does it, did I say that right? Was that what? Because it reminds me of Samuel L. Jackson, because he's just such a good example of this, and because he's so famous now and like so prolific. But in my understanding, it's like he didn't really get a role in a movie until kind of like in his late 40s, and then eventually, and I guess now he's holds the record of being in the most movies of anyone ever.
Yes.
So, but I don't know. I think that's like it's kind of a cool story. Is like no one had ever really heard of him or knew who he was kind of out of the blue, because they create this whole kind of like it's almost like an illusion that like if you go to Hollywood, if you haven't made it at 22, give up or something, some kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, passion can drive you far. Talent nowadays, not so much. It used to be a thing of talent without shine, all of the muck in the game. But with the advent of social media and different platforms, because I saw it in the music industry, I saw it. Even Prince talked about it a lot. He said, pretty soon you can do everything on your own
Yeah.
and have that energy, because it takes a lot of work to talk about yourself all the time. Any platform that you're on, any type of entertainment you're a part of, you're constantly talking. And if that's not your personality, it's not part of who you are to talk about yourself all the time, because there is a level of narcissism and hubris involved as an artist. You'll fall by the wayside, because some people have that. They have that. They can, post on Instagram all day, 24, 50 times a day about themselves, and they can dress up later on at night, go to 5 events, and come home and then start all over again the next day.
Yeah.
Have that. So those are the people that are gonna stand out. That's what the social influencers are all about now. They don't need to have talent. They can have looks, or not even just have a quirky topic that people are interested in watching them talk about. And that's what's happened. So it's made it much more competitive. It wasn't always so competitive. You had to be talented.
Yeah.
In the 90s, definitely 80s and 90s, you had to be talented. You had to train. You had to know what it was to be able to deliver your lines. I mean, there's always a sense of working with people who are flawed in this industry that they'll promote. The industry is very big on promote, because controversy brings attention, and they like to talk about people who really aren't anything to help to anyone. But
And I think this, what you're saying too, this is actually one of the things that I think is a bummer in a lot of what's going on in the entertainment industry, not just film, but also music and other stuff too, where like, let's say someone is really talented, but they're kind of an introvert. They're in, they could be perfect for a role. They could be making incredible music, but because they don't have that narcissistic drive to be on social media constantly bombarding, the news cycle and whatever it might take, then yeah, they get kind of like overlooked. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Because like I said, it's very competitive. And if the number one issue that a lot of the actors that I've worked with has they haven't been able to get on the social media thing, because a lot of films now and a lot of production companies in particular, and studios, they look for people who have a strong social media following. If you don't have that, you may lose out on a job just because you don't have that. So it's really important that people understand if they're going to get into the film industry or if they're going to get into any form of entertainment, that branding yourself is important, because that's what you got to have nowadays.
Yeah. I first learned about this from a friend of the show, Kristen Lumberg, and she came on here and she was talking about kind of like what's going on with her. And, she's been in, she's having a lot of success. She was in a Super Bowl ad. So, that's like good money and stuff like that. But she was talking about kind of the weird thing is that she's catching more roles off her TikTok than what her agent is getting her. So it's like the agent's getting her roles, but the TikTok is what's like, I guess these some of these casting people, they're on TikTok looking for what's there. I don't understand the logic behind that, but I mean, like that was her firsthand account of that being the case in her career.
Well, TikTok, it's very easy content, and it's quick content, and how our minds work is we take a image of things constantly. We're seeing things that we're taking in image wise, and so it's easier when it comes to seeing someone for a matter of seconds than it is to sit and watch a narrative piece, or which is why commercials have always been good for some actors as well. But they could probably look and say, hey, that's the girl from the Super Bowl commercial, that's the girl from TikTok. So it goes back and forth, and so that helps tremendously. I mean, my manager and I, we were talking about TikTok just recently, and
Yeah.
I have a hard time just being consistent on TikTok, but with the film, I'm making sure it's happening now.
Yeah, man. I'm still not on there. I made one, but I've never posted anything yet. It's weirdly not it doesn't like attract me like the way I am like mentally. I just I don't know what to do with it. Is that what I mean? I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, I don't know. I don't have any ideas for this type of media. But you got to think though, man, if you go back, it's like, what if instead of casting like Al Pacino in The Godfather, they had like just, got a TikToker in there. That would have been terrible. So I was going to say, you brought this up a little bit earlier. But you've got kind of a Renaissance man thing going on.
Yes.
Because I had read this and then you mentioned it that you had been in the music industry before you made the jump to film and television.
Yes.
And I think you kind of touched on it briefly. You made that transition because you were already out in LA and you needed to kind of make a move. And so, I mean, was stunts really like, is that how you got into acting? It was truly through stunts?
Yes. Yes. And like I said, when Art Camacho told me that, I was like, I was not offended at all. I've never, I'm always the type of person where I'm like, tell me exactly what you think about it, and I'll make a change and I'll make a difference. And so once I got into stunts fully, I really started to pursue the acting. And it was a different time then. I mean, it was a very, there wasn't a lot of work for Black actors at all. It was, and let alone to be able to do what I'm doing now, that didn't exist. I walked in, once I started writing scripts and producing and stuff like that, I'd walk in the offices and be laughed out the office because they were like, wait a minute, you want to produce it, you wrote the script, and you want to star in it? Get out of here, peasant.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
with the advent of cheaper cameras and just learning the process, I was like, well, I've never been one to wait on anyone and anything for anything. So I said, I'll just go ahead and I'll start creating. But yeah, the acting was the next step after the stunts, because I fell in love with it, man. I enjoyed it, and I didn't realize I like it that much. I had such a high respect for it. And just, walking into an acting class and seeing hundreds of people consistently throughout the month, because Hollywood would just filter people through, and you were taught, just go to an acting class, learn how to act. And
Yeah.
man, big wigs from all types of agents are there, and the pressure's constantly on, man. And so you're finding your way, and then I realized that the best way is to not have any pressure.
Yeah.
And take it as it's coming, because it's not about you. Don't take it personal, because every no every no is a step further away from your objective. You want that yes.
Yeah, it's cool too. It's cool you had a mentor. It's kind of a situation. So it's like, yeah, man, you could throw yourself through a window or down some stairs, but like, what if you delivered a line after that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very demanding. A lot of times people think that actors are pampered and, they don't realize that the spiritual aspect that goes into being a person of talent.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate because I came out of music, so I knew what it was to sit in a recording studio and to have people sleep 4 days after they recorded a song that was emotionally taxing and draining. So when I got into acting, I realized, man, this is the same thing. It takes a lot of energy from you, not just physically, but spiritually. It's your passion, your heart, your soul that you're doing. So a lot of times people don't understand what the actor's life is, but it is very taxing. The being on set is very taxing, and you have to enjoy it. Like I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Like I was one of those people to tell the AD, listen, I'm going to be in my honey wagon, or I'm going to be here. I'm going to be sleeping. I'm an avid sleeper, so they could come and find me, and they knew where I would be. But there were so many people who I met throughout the years in the acting world who were jaded and messed up people. They shouldn't have even been actors. It's just that they had an opportunity. They got in, and those idiots grow because you had more money and more opportunity and more people fawning over you, so you can become more of an idiot.
Yeah.
But it's there. I met a lot of great people as well in the entertainment industry, so it's balanced.
And I can't speak to the acting stuff, other than like doing just like some improv stuff and some, funny, joke type stuff, but not real acting. But I can speak to what you were saying earlier with the music, because I spent, years as a musician. I'm kind of on a little bit of a hiatus right now, although I think that's just about up. I think I don't. Do you ever get that feeling, man, where you're like, you think you're done with something, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, man, I'm not done with this. And that's kind of where I'm just now getting with music, where I'm like, how could I be done with music? But the thing you said earlier about working with artists that maybe like record a song that's so emotional or meaningful to the, and then it's like they need a 4 day like recharge. They got to go to their room or whatever. I've never experienced that, but I had this thing that would happen to me pretty frequently, especially or particularly only when I had a really, really good show, like a live show that went great. And, it was a packed audience and everyone was like having a good time. And I could tell people enjoyed the music.
Yes.
When the show was over, I didn't know where to go or what to do. It would happen to me a lot. It would be weird, like I'd go, it's like sometimes we'd have to like load up the van, and then I'd know where I need to be for a minute, if I had to be with like my bandmates. But oftentimes like I didn't, like it would be some kind of situation where like I would just go like to my car and be like, I don't know where to drive this thing. Like I don't want to go home. That makes it, it's like confusing. It's like once you put that much of your heart and soul into something and then it's over,
Yeah.
it's like what do you do with yourself?
Yeah. And it's hard for other people, average people, that's what I call it, the phrase, because you're above average if you're doing stuff like that, because it's very taxing to you. It's a driven place mentally to say, this is the date, this is what has to be done. We got the writer, we got this, we got, the set is going to be this, these are the songs, and then you do it, and then you're like, man, and you get that self-gratification, you get the audience gratification, and you're like, what's next? Because that's really what it is. It's what's next. When you've been focused on something for so long. And I'm gonna tell you, it crosses platforms. It's not just the music, but it's in film as well. The set experience is everything. It's everything. And then afterwards, boom, you gotta, that decompression moment where you're like, all right, man, that was great. We did, 16 days or 10 days or 25 days, and we did it. And then you're like, oh, next. And I remember music, the number one thing was like making sure that several days before the show was done, that I would have another show set up.
Yeah. Yeah, because you need something else to look forward to, man.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is kind of a little off topic, but it's just kind of like, it's kind of why I'm kind of in stasis with it a little bit. Because I had a kind of a band breakup type deal, which happens to everybody, man. That's part of music. That's what it is when you collaborate and you work with other people. But it was one of those things, like it put me in another kind of mood because I'd spent so much time with those dudes all the time in that practice space and recording the songs and on the stage. And then we broke up, which is over a pretty fucking common cause, which was a money dispute.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it just put me in a place where I was like, I don't want to really be a part of this right now. And it's kind of lasted for a while for me. And I don't know. Does that, like, I feel like I've taken us off topic by saying that, but I was wondering if that kind of stuff could also just kind of affect you, like in your industry as well.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. It goes back to that famous Bryan Adams line from Summer of '69. We had a band and we tried real hard. Jimmy quit, Jody got married. Should have known we'd never get far.
Yeah.
It's tough because you're dealing with personalities, man. You have to understand the industry, and I tell this to actors, and I tell this to people who come to me for advice all the time. You are dealing with personalities. I went through that with the band thing for a long time, and it was very heartbreaking, man, to know what the vision is, to know what the assignment can be, and what the mission can be, but everyone else has other issues going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Girlfriend issues or boyfriend issues or, marriage issues or money issues or family sickness, everything but what we're here to work on. And so I found myself to be, I always tell people when I'm on the set and they go, don't say that. And I said, listen, I die, pick it up, keep going, pick up the flag and keep going. They're like, don't say that. And I'm like, you guys have got to understand where my mind is at in regards to completing things.
Yeah.
So very, very frustrating because I will tell you 9 times out of 10, it is based on personalities, and personalities clash, disagreement. Like I said, when people move to LA, a lot of times they moved with what they brought from their family dynamic. So if you reminded them of an uncle, all of a sudden they had a problem with you and you didn't know why. Or secretly, they were putting on you a lot of different things that you didn't know that they were putting on you. They would make you a mentor, big brother or little brother, and you're like, why is he talking to me this way? Why are they acting this way? Or being married, and they would be married and and you couldn't understand why they were acting a certain way towards you.
Yeah.
That was another thing,
and that's the funny thing, man, like, just, I guess, like, it's part of like being a driven person, but after all of this time, all the, working in the film industry and in the music industry, understanding what it's like and what you're going to have to put up with dealing with all these different personalities, you still chose to make a production company where you're going to have to deal with it from the top and be kind of like, you're where the buck stops. And so now you're running your own production company, Darkan Entertainment. So the question's really just, why did you create it? How did you create it? And what's your vision for the future of the company?
Good questions. Well, I created it out of necessity. It was a very necessary thing. A lot of the films that I work on are films of redemptive quality. I like the whole redemption topic. I love that story of redeeming oneself or being redeemed. And like I said, when I created it, there weren't many film companies making content of Black people. That's always been a fight for me because I've been out the country and I understand that content is a very huge thing when it comes to how people see people. And, one of the problems that the Black community has always been on how we've been seen. I've lived in several different states. I've been out of the country, and I see how people respond to people of color. And it's primarily because of their perception of what they've seen prior. So all I had ever seen was rap music videos of black men. That's how I'm gonna perceive them, and that's what
Yeah.
happened
Yeah.
to Romania. They, I can't go too deep into the story, but I'm dressed up in winter clothes, and the dude throws his arms up and says, "Hey," he's thinking that I'm 50 Cent. It's
Yeah.
like, and then that's all they, when you look at their channels, they got maybe 5, 6 channels, and one of them was MTV. So the black people on MTV is how they see black people. If you're not African, then you're a black American, like a rapper. That's all they listen to with the music and stuff. So I realized the power of media and content, and so that was the reason why I started it. And also to tell the stories that I wanted to tell. Like I said, I just believe that you always hear that we're not a monolith, which I'm so sick of hearing that phrase, but there are different dynamics and different parts of who we are.
Hey, Choiceman, your mic is breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, there are different parts and different dynamics to who we are as people. So that's why I created the production company, and I'm glad I did. Um, what I've accomplished in such a short time. 2011 is I've done a lot of content through Darkan Entertainment. It's been pretty much everything that I wanted to do. I've done it. Like with Black Lightning, Tobias's Revenge. I wanted to play a superhero. I knew that Marvel or DC wouldn't be knocking on my door anytime soon. And so I just said, well, let me go ahead and do it. And I did it before the TV series. We were 4 years in production before CW even considered doing Black Lightning. And so 2 years in, we were on VFX and they announced. And so we had to rush to get it done before them. But we did. And to this day, I'm probably most proud of that next to my first short film.
I can see what you're saying there too with Marvel, because it's like they they did Black Panther and they're like, all right, well, we did it. We did our black movie.
Yeah.
And it's like back to the blonde white dude that gets like 7 more films.
Yeah. or they're on this different diversity thing where it's like everything now is forced and identity politics, which is killing them. And they're finally admitting it that, just tell great stories, man.
Yeah.
There was a time in the 80s when I would go to a theater and I'd come home at 8 o'clock at night. I'd leave at 12 and come home at 8 o'clock at night because I was watching all those movies, man.
Yeah.
The sum or some of 85, some of 86. It's just like so many movies. I didn't care if it was a female as the lead or if it was a white person or a black person, or I didn't care. If the stories were so good.
Yeah.
They were well written and they were energetic and they were inspiring and you felt something.
Yeah.
I didn't care if the person was missing a leg or an eye or if they were blinded. That was irrelevant. It was like, yo, I want to see, you saw the trailer and you're like, oh, that looks good,
Yeah.
And you saw it. And if you were like me as a kid, you went from theater to theater, man. And you watched all those movies, what I mean, for the price of one, and you sat there and enjoyed it, and it affected you, and we had to go back for repeat viewings. We didn't have, until it came out on VHS or came out on Laserdisc, but you had to go back to the theater. I watched Purple Rain 10 times in the theater.
That's amazing.
I watched 8 times in the theater. Who can say that now? They go back. Maybe they missed a joke or something, but I wait on streaming. That's how it is now. So
yeah,
that was the reason why I created the production company. That's what's been happening. And what's next is I'm working actually with Tony Germanario on a horror film called Cicero, The Legend of Cicero. It's an urban horror film that, we need a character like how Jason is Black people. You got Candyman, but we created something that this guy is really interesting. So we're working on getting that done. Hopefully, if it's funded by the end of the year, going into the new year, we'll shoot it. Got that, and I have another project called Big and Beautiful, which is about a plus-size woman who falls in love with a personal trainer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That
and
is,
it's because listen,
sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, I wrote a lot of these scripts a long time ago. It just takes time to get them off the ground.
Yeah. Well, shit, speaking of which, man, you've got a new movie out, just released this month. Can you give a description? So we're talking about A New Life, by the way. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to forget to say that. Can you give a description of the film? Like, no spoilers or anything, but also maybe some of your favorite aspects of the movie.
Oh yeah. Well, basically, what the film is about is a single father who has a hard time opening up himself to new love, and he's introduced to his school teacher, his daughter's school teacher, who opens up a new relationship for him. And of course, he has a hard time letting go of his past relationship because he lost his wife very, violently to a dramatic situation. So he has a hard time moving forward to this new love. And the film was, I wrote it, I wrote this film in 2000. So it's
Oh wow.
23, okay, 23 years old. And the reason why I wrote it was, first off, like I said, back then there wasn't much content for Black actors. And I wanted to see a film that showed us in a different light, because at that time they were, it was like Boys in the Hood, stuff like that, the drug gang movie.
Everything was like the movie Belly.
Yeah, yeah. And I had never saw a film with a Black single father. And I was like, man, how cool would that be? And then, of course, years later, Daddy's Little Girl came out. But I had came up with the concept first. But Daddy's Little Girl came out, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't dealing with a lot of the things that this film deals with. A New Life deals with not just the single fatherhood as for a Black man, but also his dynamics of family and life. It shows us loving. It shows us being protective. It shows us in so many different ways how he deals with dating.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you see a lot of those films, but not in the way that we did it, or how you see how he deals with, as a Black man, how do we deal with transgenderism? There's a scene in the film dealing with that, like, okay, because everyone has a different mindset, and so there were a lot of topics that I wanted to touch on, and I was able to do it. My first feature film was called that I directed was called Wingman Inc. And it was written by Tony Germanario and produced by him. And in that film, it was an ensemble piece. And I'm finding myself constantly working on ensemble pieces. So this film had a lot of moments where there were actors doing amazing things. And so to answer your question, one of the favorite scenes for me of the film was the pregnancy scene when she's giving birth, because that was something I added later in the script. And it was based on a story somebody had told me that, they gave birth at the side of a road. And I just thought that was so, like, what's that like? You know what I mean? The chaos
Yeah.
that goes with that. So I threw that into the script, and it ended up being one of the easiest nights to shoot. And it was fun. Big shout out to Daphne McGarry-Clark for her acting, and Joan Moten, and the lead, Chris Rouse. But most importantly, Janessa A. Morgan, she came through with so many parts of that. But that, to me, was my favorite scene.
That's awesome. That was based on a true story.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah. People don't realize that, a lot of times people are headed to the hospital, they don't make it. They
Oh
have
yeah, yeah.
out of the road.
It is one of those stories where because you've heard it, like, or it's, I think it sounds like a urban myth type thing, but it's like, no, this definitely happens. Not everybody
Yeah,
makes it. Not everybody makes it
yeah.
all the way to the hospital before that baby comes out.
Right, right. Save a lot of money, that's for sure.
Yeah, you save a fortune if you do it in the back seat.
Yeah,
uh Choice, man. I have one last question to ask you, man, but it's the most important question
sure.
of the day, man. And this is, how can people find you, follow you, watch your films, check out Darkan Entertainment? I mean, pretty much just everything, I guess, really is the question.
Yeah. Well, the film is currently on all platforms: Vudu, Amazon Prime. It dropped last Friday. This is our second week, doing really good, strong numbers. So we're very appreciative to anyone and everyone that's been watching the film, supporting it, sharing it, liking it, reviewing it, which is definitely what we need, those reviews for the algorithms. But they can find the film on all of those platforms: Amazon Prime, Vudu, Ubiquity, Xfinity, Cox, and you can download it from those platforms. If they want to follow the film, they can follow the film at a New Life on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. So it's a New Life Film, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And if they want to reach me, they can reach me at Darkan 2000, Darkan 2000 on Instagram, and Darkan ENT on Twitter, and just my name, Choice James Skinner, on Facebook, Choice J Skinner on Facebook. They can reach me there. If they want to hit up my production company, that's DarkanEnt.com, DarkanEnt.com. So yeah, absolutely. If you hit me up about projects and helping with projects, come at me with a budget.
Yeah.
Budget. I don't secure financing. So
Oh, and
I'll consider.
just to reiterate, because you said earlier, people leaving reviews for the film, and this is like helpful and good. Just for people that don't know how to do that, like just how to leave a review.
Yes, absolutely. So if you download the movie and you watch the movie on the platform that you watch it on, there's always a review page. Those review pages are very important especially for independent films, because a lot of times they need to know the interaction of the audience, not so much just the download, because sometimes people will download a movie, pause it or whatever. They need to know that it was enjoyed. They heavily rely on that, the algorithms. And you mentioned algorithms early on. That's huge. Also, you can go to IMDb, which is a movie website, the Internet Movie Database, and you can put a review there. And if you're on Rotten Tomatoes, you can put a review there as well. Just go to the film page and just review it. Give it a whole bunch of stars. It helps tremendously.
Hell yeah, yeah, guys. Just take the time, man. If you watch the movie and enjoy it, just take the. I mean, you don't have to spend all day doing it. I mean, even 5 minutes, just leave it. Sit down and write what you thought, and it's super helpful, and especially like support your independent films by getting this algorithm to push it to the top.
Absolutely. We've been doing as well. We've been doing a pay it forward program. Those seem to be very, very, very popular now. So we had a couple of the cast members, buy some downloads. So there's a couple of them out there. If you hit them up, they will. If you can't afford to download the film, they have some of those pay it forward type things going on. So
cool.
It's definitely a film, man, that I believe everybody should see. It's not just made for the Black community, but it's made for everyone. It's all about helping people to move forward and to let go. Very important.
Awesome. Choice, man. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, dude.
Doug, I enjoyed you tremendously, man. And just, one of the things, like I said, I'm always honored when people ask me to be on a show or to do an interview or anything, because you learn a lot more about yourself, but you also learn about, the interviewer, and just seeing like you're a really cool cat, man. We're very similar in a lot of ways. Like, I didn't know that, you was a martial artist, and just in conversation, I'm hearing all of this. It's awesome.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely not on your level, man, but I am I'm an enthusiast and an amateur would be how I would describe myself.
Well, what are you doing, BJJ?
My favorite martial art is Muay Thai.
Okay.
I did a lot of Aikido when I was young.
Yes.
But I got disenchanted with it.
Yeah.
And then, like you, I've got some karate in there, and then just traditional wrestling. So I don't really have any of the jiu-jitsu shit, but I think they're very similar. And I mean, they're both wrestling as far as I can tell by watching.
The ground game. Yeah. Well, get in the gi and roll a little bit, man. You'll enjoy it. I did it for 5 years. Be careful, because you always got the weekend warrior that comes in there, and he's got the hard week behind him, and he throws it in on you. So But yeah, you're like me, man. You're more of a stand-up guy. You want to, do the striking. Muay Thai is intense, man. It's
Yeah.
intense.
Well, the thing is like everybody I know that's a jujitsu guy is like, no, man, you gotta do this. You gotta do this. I've been putting it off. I think I'm gonna stop. I think I'm gonna get in there, give it a shot.
Yeah,
See what I think about it.
yeah, roll a couple of times. I mean, I got very proficient with it. Because that's how I defended myself a long time before I even learned martial arts. I just hold guys to stop them from hitting me.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, shit. Choice. Once again, thank you so much for being on the podcast, man, and I hope you have a great weekend.
I will. You too. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.